Today we're going to get pretty basic on scholarships. We're going to talk about how to write an application for scholarship money. So when it comes to applying, your family is prepared and you just have a general idea of what goes into this process and how to really make sure that our student is putting their best foot forward. We will talk about the process of submitting an application for scholarship money, but then also some tips on how to ensure that our students stays at the top of the list and isn't just thrown in the trash. Now make sure you hit subscribe because every week we have a new strategy for paying for college so that you and your student can work towards a debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones where their students buried in debt. Now, scholarships, this is our bread and butter. In fact, I've been in this world now for almost 15 years, I believe, but our families have secured over $13 million in scholarships. So we have seen a lot of applications and a lot of people approaching this process over the years. So let's go ahead and dive in. So before you even start an application, we want to make sure that first and foremost, we research thoroughly. So identifying the scholarship and their background, their interests, maybe their mission, how does it align with your student? That can be helpful because we can actually sprinkle that into the application. We can put it throughout it, maybe in our essay, but also we can make sure that our student's actually eligible. Now, as far as finding these scholarships, I do have a free webinar where I cover the exact 6 steps that I use to get 6 figures in scholarships. So you can find that at thescholarshipsystem.com/free training, or click on this video, open it in a new tab, check that out after this one. We will also link to it in the description below. Now, when you're saving the scholarships, we also want to make sure that we are noting any kind of requirements for each scholarship, as well as deadlines and setting alerts. We actually have a free app. If you go to the scholarshipsystem.com/app, APP, you will find that where you can document the requirements and set reminders for deadlines. This is a great way to tag team the process with your student. Also, before doing this process, you can start helping your student gather documents. This might be things like transcripts, letters of recommendation, test score copies, any kind of required documents that you see on these applications. We want to make sure that they're all up to date and organized in some kind of cloud-based system. Now, as far as writing the scholarship application, first and foremost, we want to make sure that we are following instructions. So our students, we want to make sure that they carefully read each step, each requirement, what the guidelines are. We want to make sure that they're following word count, any kind of formatting requirements, and submission procedures. Next is personal information. We want to make sure that all of that is accurate and complete. So this is actually something where our students in the scholarship system, we teach them how to document this so that we don't have to rethink it up each application we're submitting. This is where we can start saving time, hence why we call it the scholarship system. Next is academic background. So some scholarships might ask for GPA, classes, any kind of academic achievements, so relevant coursework, any kind of honors, honor roll, awards that your student has received. All of this, again, in the scholarship system, we have an actual document where they update this every semester, but you can create a Word document or a Google document and just regularly update it with anything that you think would be listed here. Next are extracurricular activities, also what we recommend putting in that document, but this can be any activities where your student demonstrates leadership, teamwork, community involvement. We want to focus on quality over quantity here. Make sure that your student chooses what showcases their best qualities, but also their passion. Then we have work experience. Now, if your student creates a resume, this might help them think through a lot of this, but work experience can also include internships or volunteer work, anything that was more formal and scheduled, but focusing on responsibilities and skills that they learned, qualities that they gained through this experience will be useful. And then we can also tailor it to the essay and the scholarship committee. And lastly, for writing an application for scholarship money, we have a personal statement. And this oftentimes will take really the most effort because sometimes it's actually harder than we think to sell ourselves. So your student might have a hard time coming up with the story they want to tell. This is where we have a 3-step writing method in the scholarship system, but we want it to be compelling. We want it to be creative. We want it to be memorable. We don't want it to sound like a research paper or a history paper. I have an entire video all about scholarship personal statements. You can click on it here or find the link in the description below. So all of that goes into writing an application for scholarship money. But then there is reviewing and submitting, and this might even be more important because we can overlook mistakes, especially when our student is reusing materials. They might be tweaking the essay over and over and reusing it, and then it is very easy to miss mistakes. And that is where you can help as a parent with proofreading or a guardian, or you can have them ask maybe their English teacher or an English professor to proofread it. But no matter what, we always want an extra set of eyes. Another trick that we teach our students is to read it out loud so that they can catch any errors there. And lastly, when it comes to reviewing and submitting, we want to make sure that it's submitted on time. So make sure your student is meeting those deadlines. Don't let them wait until last minute, even though it's tempting. Something we talk about our Scholarship Sundays, where we set aside a specific day and time to really do this process, and then they can get ahead of those deadlines. So make sure that they are not waiting until last minute, because if they do, a lot of times they'll just kind of whip something together and submit it, and it won't be the quality that they really need in order to win. Now, as far as the committee seeing it was submitted last minute, if it's on time, it's on time. So that's not the issue. It's more that you want your student to put their best foot forward, and if they're waiting until last minute, a lot of times they won't, they'll rush. Now, once it is submitted, there is still something we can do, and that could be maybe confirming that it was received, also keeping copies of everything. Again, the scholarship system, it's all about creating a system. So how can we document the materials? How can we document the essay that we wrote? How can our student pull all of the information from that application and put it in a cloud-based system so that next application, it's faster and faster each time we want to apply? Because remember, we're doing this over and over, because in the scholarship system, we really push going for those smaller dollar scholarships that add up. So that means we are submitting more and more applications. But if we can keep creating those documents and updating them, then it'll take less and less effort as we go. And if your student wins the money, I really recommend sending a thank you note, having your student, even if they can handwrite a card. Handwritten is so impressive these days because it's so rare. I actually, through the scholarship system, we've given out scholarships for the last decade, every single year, and I received a couple handwritten notes. I still have them to this day. Of course, we also got thank you notes in email, but it's just not the same. But no matter what, if handwritten's not possible, even an email, that is still a great way to go. No matter what, we do want to have our student do some kind of thank you note. In the scholarship system book and in our course, we actually have a thank you note template that students can use. So comment below, is your student stuck on writing an application? Did they have one that's vague, or maybe did they have one that asked for some weird things to submit? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear about what you're seeing so far, and maybe it'll give me an idea for another video if I see something that I haven't covered yet. So that said, writing an application for scholarship money, this is extremely important. It's the most important step when it comes to getting money for college, right? We have to make sure that our student is able to sell themselves. We have to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward. The way to do that is by submitting a quality application. This is where we talk about in the scholarship system, turning the dial in our favor. Okay, so when we're applying to sweepstakes scholarships or giveaways, there's nothing in our students' control to increase their chances of winning other than submitting their name more and more. And again, that's lottery. It's based on luck. But when it's not based on luck, when it's legitimate, when it's based on competitiveness, this is where a student can increase their chance of winning by fine-tuning the materials that are submitted, by making sure they're telling a great story, by making it memorable, by switching it up if it's not working. These are things that we can do to improve our chances of winning. So knowing those things and working with your student on those things, that is how we get to that money to pay for college. So I hope this gave you guys some things to think about as far as putting their best foot forward and making sure they're submitting quality applications for scholarship dollars. Again, make sure you hit subscribe because we have new strategies every week. And don't forget about that free training I mentioned, the scholarshipsystem.com/free webinar, where I show you exactly where to find these legitimate scholarships along with some other tips, especially about streamlining the process. All right, I will see you in the next video.